Welcome back to Unwind. I'm John Voorhees, and with me is Federico Vitici. Hey, Federico.
Hello, John. How are you?
I'm doing just dandy. Dandy's a word.
Dandy.
Do you have dandy in Italian? Probably not.
No, I think I know what it means, but I don't know. I don't think we have an equivalent.
I don't know why I said dandy. I don't use dandy on a regular basis, but there we are. That's what you're getting. That's the energy I'm bringing to the show today. Okay.
Okay.
I have a spooky story for you, and believe me, this is not a spooky October thing. But in the middle of the night, Jennifer heard a sound, and so she felt compelled to wake me up to tell me she heard a sound.
Okay.
And she's like, "Do you know what that sound was?" I was like, "Well, I was sleeping. I don't know what it was." I got up this morning. We just went back to sleep. I got up this morning. I came down to my office, and my framed print of Steve Jobs, the crazy ones, quote, had fallen off the wall because back in the day, her sister had convinced her that we should hang all of our pictures with those 3M sticky things. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I remember this, I think.
Yeah, and almost immediately, most of them fell. One of them crashed, and the glass in front of the picture broke, and it was a huge mess. But apparently, this Steve Jobs quote was hung up that way, and it didn't fall. And we didn't think to change it. It finally fell after almost 2 years. Damaged the frame a little bit, which is too bad. But I think I can kind of fix it up. But I'm gonna hang it with a real nail in the wall this time. I think that's a good idea. But there is a story behind this print that I did want to share briefly, which is this is one of those tales of Apple and their IP lawyers. Because I remembered I heard you on Connected talk a little bit about your early days and getting a cease and desist from Apple's lawyers for breaking developer iOS beta NDAs, which was a thing back in the early days of the iPhone. And this was a print that was done by a design company for some sort of charitable event. And it's really beautiful, really nicely typeset. It's letter pressed into this nice piece of paper, and I really liked it, and I ordered it. But immediately after I ordered it, they got their own cease and desist, and were told by Apple, "You can't do that. We own the rights to Steve Jobs' quote," and they had to stop raising money for charity by selling these prints, which kind of stinks. I don't know if that really is whether they really have rights over his words in that way. That seems like a bit of a stretch to me. But I was able to get mine before the cease and desist letter came. So I'm one of the few people with these because there are very few of them out there. A bunch of people had to have their money refunded.
I've always been jealous of that print. I
love it. I mean, it's my favorite.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we both come with picks.
We do.
This week's episode. Can you tell me about yours? Because this is something that I've been meaning to watch forever, and I never did. And I think now is the time for me to finally consider this.
Yeah, you should. Slow Horses is in its 4th season on Apple TV Plus, and there are very few shows on Apple TV Plus that I really anticipated and watched as they've come out, but Slow Horses is one of them. I mean, it's a really well done British spy drama that has a lot of comedy to it too, because it's all about these misfit agents of MI5 who were cast out from MI5 for one reason or the other and sent to Slough House, which is run by Gary Oldman's character. And so what has happened in each of these seasons is that, there's been some sort of crime, some sort of terrorism, some sort of mystery afoot that MI5 can't seem to figure out. And somehow the misfits at Slough House figure it out before the better agents of MI5 can do it. And I'd say that of the 4 seasons, the first 2 are excellent. The third one, maybe not quite as good. And then this 4th one, I'm not quite finished with it yet. It just concluded not long before we recorded this. So you can go and watch them all at once now if you'd like. It is a really great story. It starts with a twist right from the very get-go in the first 10 or 15 minutes about the death of a character that I don't want to give away, that really sets it off on a really interesting path that I like. And it takes place not just in London this time, but also in a village in France. So there's a little bit more going on in terms of different settings. The characters are mostly the same. You've got Gary Oldman, you've got River, who is one of the main agents in Slough House, and a bunch of others. And I've found this to be just really one of Apple TV shows at its finest, because it kind of combines this weird coarse humor with drama and a great spy story. And there aren't that many great spy stories on TV at the moment. So if you like a good spy story, I would highly recommend that one.
And they shared the trailer for season 5.
They did.
That it's coming out next year, I want to say.
I think so. I think with most of this, they've been filming them like maybe 2 seasons at a time, I want to say. They're only 6 episodes, so it's relatively quick to get through these. You know, they're like roughly an hour long each, and there's 6 of them. So yeah, all these have been really good. And I know I've recommended Slow Horses before the earlier seasons, but I wanted to bring it up again because season 4 has been so good. And if you watch through to the end of the final episode, I think that's where you get the trailer for season 5, which will be sometime, I believe, next year. You know, before I let you go though, Federico, I do want to do like a mini Echoes of Wisdom check-in with you, because I had about a week where I didn't play, but I started playing the last few days. And I just love this game. This is one of my most favorite games in a long, long, long time. I mean, It is just so, so well done. I mean, everything about it, from the music to the puzzles, the dungeons, the overworld, just kind of the mechanics of solving the puzzles with the powers. It's just a fantastic game. And I'm not super far into it yet. When I know a game like this is my favorite, I start taking my time and I just kind of play through leisurely. And that's what I've been doing lately.
Yeah. I've also been taking my time. I did not play as much over the past 2 nights, but I'm dipping in again tonight, I think. And it's just so lovely. And I wish I had more to say that I didn't say in the last episode, but just the freedom to like how the world how the map progressively opens up, and how the game fuses some of the elements from older Zelda games with the sort of modern sensibilities of like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, although in a more constrained environment. I think it really works for me. And it's been definitely one of the Game of the Year contenders so far.
Yeah. I think using enemies that have been defeated as echoes to battle on your behalf reminds me a little bit of Pokemon, and I really dig it. I think it's like one of the coolest elements of this game is being able to just kind of set these characters around the map and battle on your behalf while you're trying to solve a puzzle or collect something.
Yeah, I've seen people mention this, that it kind of reminds them of a monster collecting game, which I understand, I think, given what you're doing. My pick is a TV show on Netflix. It's a classic romantic comedy. This is the type of stuff that I like, that Sylvia likes, that Jennifer most likely is gonna enjoy.
I'm gonna ask her while we're talking whether she's watched this before, because she watches a lot of Netflix when I'm not around.
So it was for a moment, I believe, the most watched new series on Netflix last week. So this is a romantic comedy starring Adam Brody and Kristen Bell. So obviously, Adam Brody, as someone who's, one of my favorite TV shows of all time is the teen drama The OC from 20 years ago. And Adam Brody, of course, played one of the main characters of The OC, Seth Cohen. So obviously, Adam Brody returning for a romantic comedy on Netflix with Kristen Bell from, Veronica Mars or The Good Place. I mean, sign me up, right? So this is quite an interesting story. I mean, it's a very simple romantic comedy, so don't expect any sort of a political commentary or like any deeper themes. Really, it's a pretty lightweight show with some interesting ideas and some interesting contrasts for sure, but it's not exactly like the deepest, most political stuff out there at the moment. It's a pretty lightweight watch just before going to sleep. It tells a story. So Brody plays Noah Rocklove. So he plays a young rabbi who falls in love with someone who's his complete opposite. He falls in love with Joanne, played by Kristen Bell, who is an agnostic podcaster who has a show with her sister. And in the show, they talk about sex and they talk about relationships and dating. So the completely opposite type of person to the young rabbi who's on a path to become the head rabbi at his local temple. And obviously, like, this is the classic story of like two opposite people from two different walks of life falling in love with each other.
Right.
And what's interesting here is the contrast and sort of the themes of how do you sort of try and make sense as an adult of the fact that you have a career and that career involves religion and a very closely knit community at the local temple. Mm-hmm. With like, how do you manage that with the fact that you're falling in love with someone your age who's the complete opposite of you, doesn't believe in any kind of religion, is not part of any kind of religious community, and also has a show where they talk about dating and sex. And obviously, like, there's as the story progresses, the show is created by Erin Foster, by the way. And fun fact about Erin Foster. Erin Foster, she used to play Heather in the third season of DOC. So she knew Brody from back in the day, and Heather was for a moment like the arch nemesis of Marissa from DOC. DOC fans like me will remember Heather from season 3. And so, I think what's interesting about this show is like watching Noah navigate the fact that his family, for example, his Jewish family has these high expectations for him to become head rabbi. The family is against Noah's decision to separate from his fiancée. The fiancé who was loved by Noah's mother and Noah's family. So they see Noah's decision sort of as a betrayal, right? And and I think there's even like potentially an even more fascinating B plot, like the subplot of the series, which I hope gets expanded if Netflix renews it for a second season. But I mean, if this is the most watched comedy series on Netflix, I mean, I would be very surprised if they don't greenlight a season 2. But the B plot featuring Noah's brother and Joanne's sister. Joanne's sister, played by Justine Luke. You may know her as Willa in Succession. This B plot of the brother and the sister, sort of getting close to each other, even though they are also the complete opposite, and referring to themselves as the loser sibling, right? compared to Noah, the successful rabbi, and Joanne, who's now found a boyfriend. I think it's a really compelling compelling B plot in this show. So yeah, it's a romantic comedy. If you are a fan of this sort of stuff, like Sylvia and I are, I highly recommend it. Adam Brody, I've been a lifelong fan of his work, and obviously Kristen Bell, she's just exceptional. So yes. Yeah, I hope there's a season 2 and 10 episodes on Netflix available now.
All right. Well, Jennifer binged this all over last weekend, I think, because I consumed a little bit of it just by being in the same room and doing other things while she was watching it. So yeah, she did text me back and she said she liked it a lot. So
the kids at the temple referred to the rabbi as Hot Rabbi. So that's his name, and it's a pretty unconventional rabbi. You know, he's a rabbi who's obviously dating and smokes weed. You know, he's a very hip and youthful rabbi. It's sort of not what you may expect from that sort of congregation. Yeah,
and dating a podcaster. Boy, everybody wants to date a podcaster,
right? I know, right?
All right. We'll leave it at that, Federico. Let that hot take soak in, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks for listening to the show today. You can find the two of us over at macstories.net. And don't forget to check out our relatively recent YouTube channel. It's got a lot of stuff on it, and it's expanding beyond just podcasts. You can find the two of us on Mastodon. Federico is at vitici.macstories.net, and I'm John Voorhees.macstories.net. You'll find a button to follow us on Mastodon there. Plus, we're on Threads and Instagram, where Federico is at Vitici. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees. JOHNVOORHWS. Talk to you next week, Federico.
Ciao, John.